welcome to Demon Heads. This is part 1 of Creature World 2. I was going to create the whole master pack and then release, including the torsos, arms, legs and so on. But it was taking too long and I wanted to release something first instead of waiting for the whole master pack. So it'll be released in parts: heads, torsos, legs as different parts. So those who wanted to wait for the master pack will still get it exactly whenever it comes out for the same price. But those who want it bit by bit, they have that option as well. So this is out now, heads. And I'm very proud of it. It's my favorite pack so far. I think I say that quite often, but I think it's because every time I make something, I'm better at sculpting than I was with the previous one, hence it being my favorite pack. And I'm in my element with heads like this. I like teeth. Check timestamps below to jump to specific sections. The first bit's just going through the heads and all their blend shapes. Then a little bit of insert mesh info, and then we will jump to how to create blend shapes and how they work in ZBrush section. Alright, let's get to it. It consists of a demo body, which is just like a very rough, not the greatest detailed sculpt, but it's a nice idea to get to pose, just to screw around with if you want. We've got the folder here for heads. Eventually, if torsos gets released and then legs, you can just add them to this file if you want. If you don't want the folder, just go delete folder. It will get rid of the folder, but not the files within it. But yeah, there's 51 heads in here. One is a variant, and if you just press the down arrow on your keyboard, you can just cycle through them. Like so. They've got a little bit of poly painting on them. As you can see, a little bit darker around the eyes. I'm gonna go to solo. My shortcut's Control 1. Just solo stuff. Which I've set up myself. Okay. So each of these heads has blend shapes, which is in the layers tab down here, also in subtool. Some have got only 1, some have got like 6, but the average is about 3 roughly per head. Like this guy's got 2. Jaw open. And I think he's got a snarl, yeah. I'm gonna turn preview AO off because I'm on my older PC now and this one's a bit slow. So you get the idea, they're all labeled. And there are, if I'm pressing the down arrow, 50 of these demonic heads. And as I've been saying, they've got some poly painting around the eyes. Usually inside the mouth, just to darken it up a bit, give it a bit more depth. And I'm using basic material. This all comes with ZBrush. And all the eyes are shaded with Gel Shader B. Well, most of them, like that. Because I quite like what that does. You can simply override the poly painting and materials by pressing this little button, the paint button. And it's just, whatever material you like. I think ZBrush still starts up with the red matcap, which is, it must be an in-joke from those guys. Anyway, because it's a terrible material. Don't use red matcap. So let's start from the very beginning. We've got head 1, they're all just labeled head 1 to head 005. 50. I'm just gonna get straight to it. So this guy's got jaw open. So it goes from 0 to 1. Whatever, if you go to the left, it does the inverse. Now this is unpredictable. This is not something I made. This is just what the program does, the inverse to each vertex of what I. So sometimes you get cool results, sometimes rubbish like this. But it's intended. You can do what you want, but it's intended to use with these, and you can blend them together. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Jaw open and smile. Frown. See, that will create some warping. You probably want to turn smile off when you have frown. There you go. Snarl on the other side. I'm pressing 0 on my keyboard. Lips closed, but you probably want to... It's best to experiment and see for yourself what's out there and how they work together. They will always work each slider on their own, but not necessarily together, but that's part of the fun, coming up with unexpected things. I mean, that obviously looks like, huh. Anyway, let's move on. Okay. I want to isolate this just to speak to make my... This computer is, I think, 8 years old. Really, I can feel its age. The problem is this mic setup is not set up my work PC. And it's too much hassle to move it, so I'll just... Yeah. So there you go. No eyes. For example, a lot of them have the no eyes thing. Frown won't work with no eyes, it'll look silly. Smile. Let's carry on. We've seen this guy. Classic Diablo type skull thing. All of them will have jaw open except the two really weird ones which you'll see. Frown. So this is great if you want to sculpt and you get a pose and you're like, okay, this is what I want to use, and you'll carry that further for miniatures or so on, or even if you want to translate this to animation, but that's a very complex process which I won't go into in this video, but it's a nice basis to start from if you're so inclined. So snarl. Oh, this is alternate teeth, sorry. What am I saying? A lot of them have, if their teeth are neat, I kind of like having a layer where you just zero that out, where it kind of makes them a bit more gnarly and jagged, which tends to look more evil. Stop playing along with me, there we go. So isolate this again. Which is always... If you want to make teeth look gnarly, make them asymmetrical and point towards each other and yeah, rule of thumb. There we go, nasty brute. This is one of my favorite and first guys I did. Learning nanomesh on the way as well, which is very simple to use. Okay, jaw open. This guy's got eyes that appear. Holy moly. Smile, which I find quite sexy. And alternate teeth. Or we can close his jaw. I love overbites from the underjaw. Or is that an underbite? It's probably an underbite. Someone can correct me in the comments. See, for once an inverse kind of works, except inverse eyes will look stupid. Unless you like that weirdness, I don't. Just make it neutral. An alternate teeth sometimes can give you cool alternate teeth the other way. Stay. There we go. Anyway, enough. Let's move on. Here's one with only one blend shape. At the end of all this, I'll show you guys how to make blend shapes in ZBrush. It's very easy and a lot of fun and fairly quick. Way quicker than the actual sculpt. Oh, this guy's got quite a lot. Jaw open, combined with a snarl. Smile. That looks like a really forced smile, like very vindictive, like I don't find what you're saying funny kind of smile. Kind of like, If you press tab, it also switches to the next one. Lip close. This is kind of harumph. No. I'm not happy with what you said. More like trying to be stoic, but not quite achieving it. Another no eyes. And eyes closed. This guy's mouth cannot open, but he can smile or frown or gaunt. Oh yeah, I forgot about this one. He becomes, well, as it says, gaunt. or obese, but obese doesn't really work because it's not intended to be used that way. Here's an obese guy. I love this one. I was thinking of Baron or Conan when not that he looks like the actor or the character, just that kind of vibe I wanted. Just, yeah, kind of repulsive skin and countenance. Yeah, I really like these blend shapes on this guy. This reminds me of someone I know, actually, that expression, but I won't say who. It's almost like angelic, like, oh, didn't do anything. See, sometimes I combine to perform stuff that I didn't intend, but actually works. It's like, that almost looks like a nope face. Is that the word nowadays? Nope. Anyway, next. A weird one. Jaw open. Frown combined with a frown. No hair or alien hair. Alternate face. There you go, like 2 or 3 in one. I'm pressing the down arrow. One of my favorites. Very classic, almost dragon-like demon. Snarl. Corners of the mouth down for when his mouth is closed, really. So that. And all the heads are roughly in place for this particular body. For other bodies it might need adjustment, but you know, we'll see how it goes. This is obviously a xenomorph inspired, but with a demon. Jaw open. Let's go from this side. Underbite. Snarl. Halfway open. Eyes A. Oh, he's got eyes. Eyes B. But you have to cancel A to make it make sense. There we go. And alternate teeth. Again, just gnarled up. Not too different, but yeah. People seem to really like this one. I like him as well, but I was surprised people really like this guy. Yeah, kind of snarl. Smile, it should be snarl, I think. So that's a typo. No, it's a kind of smile. Excuse me. I'm very sorry. He almost looks like he did something wrong and he's sorry, his little eye there. Mouth open and a frown. I'll close or, you know, let's go in inverse. Swallow your own eye. Bad album name. Yeah, I like this one. Underbite. Very simple. Pressing F to focus on him. Jaw open. This is one of my favorite open jaws combined with a frown. I just really like what that looks like. Very aggressive. And his alternate teeth is really nice, I think. Or no teeth. What a surprise. So he closes his jaw. Now he's kind of an elder reptilian alien. Take his frown away. Turn the frown upside down. Why did I say that? Alt teeth doesn't work because he's got no teeth at the moment. There we go. Let's move on. Classic devil. Smile. Frown. Frown 2. A bit more frowny. Other side. I think we should make more blend shapes on him later when I show you how to make it. Jaw open or the inverse. Does weird stuff. One thing you should know, I've emailed Pixelogic about this, is it's best to get your blend shapes first. You can move this Whoops. You can move the head around, and the blend shapes will behave. But as soon as you scale it, the blend shapes won't behave. Look at the lower lip now. The points are trying to go, the vertices are trying to go to where they were in that pose at the same scale as well. So, and if you're way bigger, it should really screw up. Yeah. But the biggest issue is if you rotate. Now it will... Actually, let me just get to the neutrals pose first, then rotate, and now if you do a blend shape, it'll screw up. I emailed ZBrush, Pixelogic, well they're now Maxon, about this, and they said, yep, that is how it works. So, it's not a bug. It's just, let me undo all that. It's just how it's programmed. Because the points are trying to get to that position it was saved in the layer. This is from, I think, Final Fantasy or something. Never played those games. But I'm well aware that people love them, and I saw it was a cool design online. I thought, well, I'll make a variation of it. No eyes. So he's got a jaw closed, and then lips closed, where he kind of also turns into this elder type guy. Smile. Bring his eyes back. Next. Yeah, this guy is kind of a static skull, so I only did something very minor. Just that moves a bit. It's not much. But I don't think much is needed on that guy. Classic kind of... I forgot the name. Something in Egypt. Anubis is based on it. Anubis. Cool word. This is the only variation, like actual other mesh, because I liked how it has, the skin is cleaner. I thought that looks, so I thought I'd just keep both. So that will happen sometimes if you go into the inverse. If I just avoid the inverse, like going into the negative. And sometimes there's a jaw closed and an open. Most of the time just one slider will do it, but if I sculpted it in this position with an open mouth, half open, one slider will close and one will open. Not very important, but yeah. There's another weird dude. No eye, and an alternate mouth, or just kind of open. That's kind of gross, isn't it? Another classic Doom-inspired demon. No eyes. This is the first time I thought, I'll give him no eyes. New face. I forgot about this. Stay. Let's give him an underbite. Get his eyes back. Another strange one. Yeah, his eyes looks not great with that shader, so let me turn it off. Actually, it's alright, it doesn't bother me. Jaw open, snarl, close his jaw, tab down, lips close. Or, again, whenever they have neat teeth like this, I give them alternate teeth as well. Like so. I always prefer gnarly teeth. There's another simple one. Open, close, but don't let them fight each other. Like if there's an open and a close, I shouldn't be used at the same time because that will just clash for obvious reasons. Pulling in different directions, the vertices. And a frown. Close it a bit. Another beast without eyes. They're always more sinister or intimidating when they don't have eyes. There's nothing to look into, to reason with. This is the Baron from Doom 2016. Really like, well, everyone likes that face. It's just such a cool design, so I thought I'd add it. That snarl. No eyes. That really works. Underbite. Next. I hope it's not too dull going through all these one by one, but I figured it's best to show people exactly what you're getting. Yeah. I really like... This is from this guy's from concept art I saw for Doom prior to 2016. And I thought, wow, it's such a cool early version of the Baron of Hell. And I thought it was like a pencil type sketch. I should credit the artist, but I'll have to look that up. Because it'll be quite bad not crediting the artist. A Pinky Demon's head, but on a biped. Well, they are bipedal, but it's not a hunchback little weird shape. They are one of the weirdest designs in monsters, which I love, you know, the Pinky Demon. So he's got a mouth open and close, separate sliders, and a snarl. He should look cool with an underbite, I'd think. Yeah. One of my favorites is a classic skull-faced demon with a strong chin, you know, always. Oh, his teeth is on by default. So your neat teeth. Snarl. You'd think that bone wouldn't be able to move, but we can do whatever the hell we want. Just one side and alternate teeth. I'm gonna take a sip of coffee, excuse me. Another chubby dude. I love sculpting fat rolls and so on. It doesn't quite fit this, but it does. You'd expect a little, you know. Well, I'm not gonna switch to that tool now because then I'll lose. Actually, no, let me do that. I can't help myself, I'm sorry guys. Move. So gravity pulls it down a bit, right? To the side. Because it's different polygroups, I'm going move topological. I'm really going off topic here, aren't I? Bit of ass. Yes, ass. Everyone likes ass. Most people. Alright, let's undo all of that. That was a fun little exercise. In obesity. I'm sorry. Okay, jaw open. This was also... when there's fat involved, it's way more difficult to do blend shapes, but you know... Or more effort, way more effort. Because you got it's a tug of war between the jaw and the rolls. I never thought I'd say that sentence in my life. So we've got mouth open. Some of them work really well together. Smile. Snarl. Sad. Or, no, this looks more surprised and sad. Wow, can you be surprised and sad at the same time? I'd say frightened and surprised at the same time. Anyway. Jaw close. So open up a little bit. Smile. So these shapes really play ball together really well. Man, you can come up with an infinite number of faces with this guy. See, now I can't sculpt. It's because I'm not in record mode. I'll show you all about that in the blend shapes section at the end. Let's move on. This is one of my favorites. Quite simple, but he's got jaw open and close. Let's give him an underbite. Always a favorite. An aggressive, dumb, violent looking underbite. And close his head. So when you can put something in there, wherever you like, and keep it there for a special occasion. Now open, close. Cool. Another reptilian-esque thing. Jaw open, snarl. Jaw open and snarl always works well together with all these demons. Snarl and smile will not work well together, but on their own. So I would definitely close this a bit, otherwise the smile looks silly. There we go. Snarl. Oh, it does work with a smile. Like a menacing smile. Alternate teeth. Hooray for crooked teeth. Yeah, get rid of that smile. There we go. Angry, angry, angry. That's a cool face. I like that. He looks a little bit like he's trying to be edgy. But he is edgy. Look at him, he'll fuck you up. Snarl, let's take that up. He is over the edge. This is inspired by Monsters Vault. Awesome drawings that I love on Instagram. Yeah, I made a drawing where this was mirrored on the other side as well. Monsters Vault on Instagram, look it up. Great stuff, although you probably follow it already. Well known. I took one of his drawings and added horns and other slight differences. But essentially his design. So we got more. Did I type mouth? I should have typed more. More is a cooler word in this case. So this inverse happens to work. Oh no, it doesn't. I've suddenly got this desire to have depth of field and so on in ZBrush's viewport. That'll be amazing. Like all the bells and whistles like Marmoset Toolback 4, but probably won't run very well on this PC. Anyway, let's move on. This is inspired by one of Ken Barthelme's, I hope he's pronouncing his name correct, I think he's Dutch. Is Monster for the Tomorrow War, which I quite liked. And what I love is monster design. I thought the faces is so very aggressive design, and just it screams at you to stay away from this thing. So I made it more demonic, and but the face is pretty much the same. So in this case the inverse does not work. Well, it does that, but there's a jaw closed separately. There we go, neatly closed. And most of these teeth should interlock almost perfectly. If we want to change that, just record. And you can move them about wherever you want. But I'm not going to screw around with that now. Let's stop recording. Snarl. Yes. Get this out of the way. Smile and a snarl and an open mouth. Let's move on. Another. Quite like this area on top. Strange design. Well, it's too strange. Triangular aggressive head. Because triangles are aggressive. Circles are soft or round and friendly. And so on. Yeah, I quite like that. So snarl. Yeah. And one thing I haven't actually tried is mixing and matching heads. It's like an insect, you know, when you overlay them on top of each other. So let's turn one on, for example. Let's turn on Ken's design. And then cycle through others. Sometimes, you know, could... maybe not... Ooh. Yeah, you get the idea. Maybe this one is too long ahead too. But yeah, sooner or later something will come up. Let's try this guy. Yeah, I can see big potential here, but it's not something I should be trying that I haven't actually tried in the middle of a bloody demo. So let me stop that. This is the next guy. I really like this design. What am I doing? Jaw close. And he's got his slit closing. Slits. See, that's the wrong jaw open. The jaw open is this guy. Like so. Mouth smaller. That's ideal when his mouth is closed. You want this to be not so snarly. And you can smile as well, but you should probably not have it with mouth smaller. I quite like having his jaw close and the slit close, like shop is closed. Maybe, fuck's sake. There we go. The very pleased with himself demon, number 37. With 37 already. Oh, I love this guy. He's a classic goat man style. I mean, I don't know who can lay claim to this original. I mean, it's in Diablo. It's Baphomet, the infamous sign that was made by the Knights Templar, which no one really knows where Baphomet comes from. Apparently, in battle, it was. Well, I'm not going to go into that now. Actually, never mind. Look it up. It's very interesting, the history of Baphomet. 10th or 11th or 9th century, somewhere around there. But we haven't done the blend shapes. Mouth close. Mouth open. Zero that out. Lips close. Well, with mouth closed, probably. There we go. Nice. Somber. And a frown. When Baphomet frowns at you, something is very wrong. It's just something about a goat that always just says... It's probably because of the general psyche in films and metal music and satanic Bible and so on, that we've been subconsciously taught that goat equals darker things. Okay. Enough waffling about rubbish. Not rubbish, but me talking nonsense, I mean. I really like this design. Someone said arachnophobia, and I thought, oh yeah, I didn't think about it like that. It is kind of spider-like. This is what he can do. I kind of wish I added a bit more blend shapes now, like a frown. Well, let's work on this guy later, actually. You can add your own frowns, it's easy. But I ran out of time. I could have made many more heads, but it would have become too expensive, it would have taken too long, you know, and it's just, you have to draw a line. It was going to be 40 heads, then 45, and at the last minute I decided 50 heads. Another one of my favorite blend shapes. I actually call this guy the Napoleon Dynamite of demons, because he's got that, you know, he's got that countenance. Anyway, I'm going to stop goofifying him now. I think this works really well. Nice animation there. Not that the animation itself matters in ZBrush. All that matters is the final pose, by the way. Eyes closed. Just open them up. Frown. And now he's suddenly losing all his goofiness. Alternate teeth. Let's give him a bit of an underbite. See, all goofiness gone. Bit of a smile. Maybe slight return of the goof. There, he's kind of placid again. And turned into a mess. Okay, next. Kevin Cassidy inspired. Okay. Jaw open. Alternate eye. Third eye, motherfuckers. Now it looks like a creature from Doom again. And alternate teeth. Again, Sometimes the slider just pops back to 0. It's quite annoying, but that's if your PC is slow. There we go. Alternate teeth. Jaw, underbite, because we love underbites, because it looks more evil. And yeah. Next. This is inspired by the mancubus from Doom, but with lots of augmentations. Horns, these mouth bits, well, the bottom ones, and different teeth. He's got a little surprise in him. So jaw close. Isolate him. Ooh, look at that. New eyes. Frown. Although they work, the frown works better with this eye. He's quite happy as well, isn't he? This is from Diablo 2 Resurrected, the Bat Demon. All I know is little red zombies made an absolutely amazing sculpt, and when I saw it, I was like, "Wow, that's such fine, lovely detail." I thought so. I did a version as well. I don't know exactly what it was. I apologize. But the company was Little Red Zombies who did the Bat Demon. I did my version. Frown, smile, eyes closed, jaw open. Let's get rid of that smile. Wipe that smile from your face. Yeah. I just had to make this one because the proportions are so awesome. The proportions of the teeth and the mouth to the eyes and the bat-like nose and ears, and it was just, yeah, doesn't look very friendly at all. Another. I bashed kitbash two things together. No, I didn't use Midjourney. I used old school photo bashing, which took me like 5 seconds because I knew exactly what I wanted instead of Midjourneying for an hour before I get something I want. I knew I wanted this from, I think, a Del Toro film. I'm not quite sure. And the bottom was from an early Doom concert. Sort of mix of my own stuff. So there we go. I really, really like this guy. No eyes. And then head close. But let's give him his eyes back. One of my favorites. Classic Mephisto. Jaw close and no eyes. Should give him a frown as well. This is a fairly simple design. So I thought there weren't enough when I got to the end. I was like, we need just more straightforward horns, a few more. Yeah, he's got a nose. You can do so much with layers. You just can't add geometry or subtract geometry, but you can manipulate geometry. You can even have subdivisions as long as you do the blend shapes on the highest subdivision. Jaw open. I love this guy. Very simple, but I like how he's sculpted and all the distribution of detail in certain bits and where it's not. Blah 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 blah. Alternate teeth. There we go. No eyes, bull type thing. He's just got a jaw open. I did try some other blend shapes, but they seem to not really make any sense, so I just kept it simple with this guy. And one can easily record, and I'm gonna do. I don't have my tablet now, so I'm using the mouse. Okay, disclaimer: this is using the mouse, so it's gonna look like crap. Cheekbones. Let's use smooth peaks, which I love more than smooth. You can probably hear the mouse clicking. Alright, so that's very crude eyes. So now, as soon as you drag on this, it'll stop recording. I'm gonna zero it out. There we go, we've got a new layer. That's it, that's how you make blend shapes. Well, this is a really crap one. And the inverse will do something unexpected. It'll create goofy screw up. So if any layer is not at 0, you can't, it'll give you this message. So if you want to sculpt the base neutral pose, just put everything to 0. And then you can sculpt, and they will all still work from that base pose. And if you want to sculpt on a layer again, like let's zero this guy out, just press record. And now I can sculpt on that layer. That looks goofy, but this is a cool... This can go somewhere. I can see this going somewhere. This idea, these wide eyes, see, this could just make the eyes smaller. Because small eyes tend to integrate. Integrate, bro! That's not even a word. Indicate. A lack of intelligence, quite often, small eyes. Not always. There's some humans who've got beautiful, massive eyes and they're really dumb. I really need to get my tablet out. Anyway, so there we have a brand new face with that blend shape. Let's move on. Pretend that never happened. This is another last minute guy. Diablo echoes, but not quite Diablo. He looks not quite as menacing. He's got his own thing going, more like an elder. Jaw open. Another underbite. And a frown. Let's give him a slight frown. Open. And then the final guy is another chubbaroon. Almost a Star Wars like appendages. Then obviously they only perfectly fit this torso. If you've got your own torso, you just simply go in there and move brush it where you want. Or Control Shift and get rid of them. Delete hidden. After you've done your blend shapes. So this guy's blend shapes, be jaw open, frown. They don't work well together, but frown is fine, yeah. Or smile. Not a smile I trust. And then you've got a master slider which exaggerates everything. I'm not sure why this is there. I suppose if you've got not blend shapes but like details that you want to exaggerate, like skin detail, that's probably quite useful. For example, new layer, spray some so it's probably if you want to test exaggerated details. So now it's going past 1, it's going to go to 5. I mean, this is rubbish, but you get the idea. Or the invert. Oh, it doesn't. Oh, it does do the inverse. Anyway, I'm gonna delete that layer. So that is what's in this pack, and of course this demo body. I'm really happy with this. It's my favorite one so far. I'm right in my element with monstrous heads. I can't believe it's taken me such a while to actually sculpt heads. A lot of people have been asking for it. Now I will show you what else you get. If you don't use ZBrush, there are OBJs of each head as in the product render. So there'll be an OBJ of this, and then an OBJ of the jaw open. So there's 160 blend shapes scattered across the 51 or 50 heads. OBJs, I did not include these blend shapes, that non-jaw open, because jaw open is the most useful one, because it could be tricky in other software if you need to get in there to open the jaw. So having the blend shape just makes it convenient for you Blender or Maya users, etc. But yeah, so like this guy you'd have, let me just zero it out. Jaw open as an OBJ, and jaw closed as an OBJ, and so on, which is 101 OBJs. Yeah, I think that is all I need to show you for now. There's also an insert mesh brush which comes with this if you press F2, but I always use this scene because insert meshes do not have blend shapes. It's not possible. Plus here they're all already in the scene. You just press up and down arrows to quickly cycle through them. So if I were you, you need to bring in your own bodies. I would either load the tool where your body is, and then you can go load tool from project, and you can load the demon heads into that project, or load that project in here, whatever you prefer. Or pressing B or F2 on your keyboard, load brush, insert mesh. And that's loading. I think it's like 1.2 gigabytes insert mesh, 37 million polys. In other words, 74 million triangles. Anyway, so I never really use this top thing. If you press M, there we go. This is a way better, come on, overview. And then it pops up a big, sometimes it's a bit warped, the display. I don't know why. It's a ZBrush bug. But yeah, you can quickly choose what you want to insert. So let's say you're working on your body. Is there any layers now? And you want to insert, so I've got symmetry on, X, go to the middle, just drag down. Okay. And yeah, you know the drill, insert meshes, do what you want. Now, well, I look so stupid. Again, this is definitely not my preferred method to use heads. For arms and so on, yes. But, well, actually, this is fine. There's nothing wrong with this. But again, there's no blend shapes and insert meshes, nor any poly painting or materials on the eyes. And you obviously don't need those either, but just there to look pretty while you work. But yeah. So if you go to the gizmo, you press the left and right arrow, it should start to cycle up here. There we go. But often it flips 180. I don't know why, but yeah, I don't really use the insert mesh brushes, but a lot of you do, so it is there if you want to use it. As I said, I prefer the just opening this tool with the heads all here in one place. Okay, let's make blend shapes. So making a blend shape is essentially pressing record, and then whatever you do is recorded. And you can either press, I just drag that slider, it'll stop recording. So now that's on that layer. That's the bottom line, really. So you can see where that's going. If you want to carry on, so look what it's going to say. I can't sculpt on it now because you're not in record mode or at the neutral position. If you want to sculpt on the neutral position, zero everything out, and now you can. The blend shapes remain and they will go from this position. Let me undo that. Let's delete this rubbish layer. So let's do something simple. Now I've polygrouped all bits already. We'll get to that in a bit. Let's just do a simple blend shape first, and then we'll get to polygroups. So let's make a frown. I'm gonna start recording. It's recording on untitled layer. I'm using my move brush. But see, now it's moving the eyeball and the tooth. Those wouldn't be moving, would they? Well, you can do what you want, but I like to keep it logical. So either control, tap, it masks everything but this polygroup, and now you can use the normal move brush and it'll only move what I want for the frown, or you can use move topological. My hotkey is Alt 3. Yours, you'd have to set it up, or just press F2. Move topological. Move topological only moves the mesh underneath it, but it won't move that separate. It's the same subtool, but it's a different mesh. The round eyeball in there, or this tooth, is a separate mesh, which is great. But for now, I'm going to use move because it's less processor into and mask and move. So let's do a very simple frown. I'm not going to do the best job just to save time. Just so you get the idea. He's got 6 eyes to frown with, huh? Standard brush too. Standard and inflate are very similar. I don't use inflate with layers because if you go the inverse of you've inflated it, it creates horrible artifacts. So just do that. Expose the teeth a little bit. Control tap. He's gnarling. When you frown, you generally bring your chin up. And just normal move brush. Bring this in and up. Okay, so now just drag that, it'll stop recording. That's how you make a blend shape. It's as simple as that. Really, really easy, really fun. Just bear in mind, each blend shape increases the file size by how many polygons is moved per blend shape. It's not tremendous, but it's something to be aware of. It's not a big deal. Especially with space not being a premium anymore, hard drive space. So there we go. 0 to 1 is what you've sculpted. If you go the inverse, as mentioned before, it'll do unpredictable things, but it'll look sad. Because that's by chance the opposite of what we've, with some artifacts, because we didn't sculpt that. Okay, so that's something easy. How do we do something more complicated, like the jaw opening and close? I think it's best if I press Control W to make it all one polygroup, so we can do it from scratch. Then you can rename your frown. There we go. Frown. Let's 0 that out so we can make a new recording. Okay, first of all, I'm going to auto group this. So I've got it up there, but you probably don't. Oh, sorry, Mike. I've got a weird setup here. There you go. So I'll show you where it is in the standard menu. Polygroups, auto group. So it just groups non-contiguous meshes automatically. I like to keep it symmetrical, so Control Shift Tap isolates this polygroup. Tap on that polygroup again, it hides it. And now everything I tap after this Control Shift Tap will be hidden. So I've hid those guys. Now Control Shift drag an empty space. And I want to make this one polygroup. So now Control W, they're one polygroup now. So now, cool, isn't it? I might do the same with the eyes. We don't have to, but I'm just going to show you quickly. Control Shift Tap. Control Shift drag an empty space, Control W, one polygroup. So I can just quickly, isolate them or mask everything but the eyes or do the inverse. It's wonderful how ZBrush's masking and polygroup system. I wish all software had it, all 3D software, because it's just brilliant. Control Shift Tap, Tap, Control Shift Tap, Control Shift drag, Control W, one polygroup. You can press Control W again to change the color if you want to make it really stand out from the rest so you can clearly see. I like doing that. So you don't have to do this, but it makes things a lot easier to work with, especially for blend shapes. Let's go back to layers. You can see if I see how polygroups automatically closes and now layers is going to close. That's quite annoying, but if you hold Shift and left click, it keeps everything open. There's also a setting in preferences where you can change that behavior. Anyway, let's make a new jaw open. So we want to do this, right? I'm going to 0 it out. I'm going to delete that polygroup. That's how confident I am in us. I believe in us. So it'll be easiest to mask the drawer it has to open as one polygroup. You could go in here, you know, and start masking out the bits you don't want and moving it, but good luck. That's going to be incredibly difficult. Very, very difficult and finicky. We're going to use polygroups to save our ass. So I'm going to isolate the lower jaw, hide it, and then get the lower teeth. Control Shift Tap again, right? I just had to choose a complex one, didn't I? Look at this mess. If it does that, just undo. If you choose, is that a word? Don't know what this crap is. That shouldn't be there. Doesn't really matter. Hidden in the drawer. That seems to be everything. So now Control Shift drag. It'll show the opposite of what's hidden. Right. So you see, this is. We want to make this one polygroup. Control W. Perfect. So now, Control Tap in Gizmo mode. We can rotate just as polygroup, but all that's going with it as well, which is not great. It's fine. What you do then is you Control Shift Tap. Isolate this polygroup, right? I'm going to turn perspective off just so it's orthographic. Now I'm going to I'm holding down Control to choose a type of mask. Lasso. You can just paint it normally as well, but this is just a bit quicker. Ooh, look at that. That's not great. So let's see where the draw would probably... Let's just pretend it'll rotate from roughly there. It's just... We're creating the polygroup by the mask. Let's make it this as a beginning. You should always slightly under go. I'm going to Control Alt to cut away from the mask. Make it slightly less than where you think it is going to be, and I'll show you why in a second. Now, by the way, my hotkey to show the polygroups is just this button. Well, I've made my hotkey Control 2. I think Shift F does the same thing, but who uses Shift F? I'll use Control 2 because it's where my left hand's resting. So Control W now will turn whatever is masked into a polygroup, okay? So now Control Shift Tap in empty space brings everything back. Just turn perspective back on. You don't have to, but things will look silly. So now again in Gizmo mode, Control Tap on this polygroup. See, now it only masks the jaw. Wonderful. But, and now where is it going to rotate to? Generally, usually it's roughly around there. I usually do a few tests. That seems about right. But look what we have on the edge of the mask. It's just too sharp. So you just Control Tap. Its feathers softens the mask. Like that, see? Now the denser your mesh, the longer this will take, but fortunately the mesh is not very dense. And now it will still be a bit wonky, but there's nothing you can do about that. But see, it's smoother now. But that we'll fix that later. Another thing you can do is if you go to masking and dilute. This is new. Dilute goes to where your mask softens and dilutes up to that point where it's not 100%. Like that, see? But if you do it too much, it'll become sharp again. So you can see this is where my feathering starts. It's roughly there. It will dilute to there. So I like using dilute once. Feather. Undo that. Feathering. Control Tap. Dilute. Control Tap and feather. It really depends on the model, on so many things, but you get the idea. Until this will do. Control Pen. Just paint that back. And then Control Alt, lightly paint. I'm going to do a really rough job now, just to save time. So now, sometimes it's best to get it into a closed position first. So we're going to start from this position. Now, let's record the blend shape. Record a new layer. Alt tap that so your gizmo isn't like this, and then it'll just screw it up, see? So Alt tap to reset your gizmo to your perspective. So now I'm recording this. You can move as well if you want. I'm not gonna. There's our blend shape, really. It needs refinement. But there we go, look at us. So let us refine what's happening under. I mean, you don't really have to, because let's record. So I'm coming with a standard brush usually, and just, you know, what'll happen if you open your George, it's best to have a mirror when you do these things nearby. A mirror, and then see how your face contours. So I think that's a screw up. Control drag, clear the mask. I don't really like smoothing or using the clay brush in blend shapes, because then you lose the detail you have. But a standard brush does not lose the detail. It just lifts everything up underneath it, see? All the detail is kept with the standard brush. Clay overrides everything, because there's different brush classes, but that's another topic. Anyway, I'm not going to do the most perfect job now. I'm going to use the bloody clay brush, smooth it out. Because again, we're not doing animation, we're doing poses. But I do like to keep it as close as possible to what would have happened to the skin was as an animation. Now you can use inflate softly, which is fine. But if you do the inverse, weird things happen. But we're not actually gonna do the inverse with this guy, so it's fine. There we go. Drag. The mask sometimes pops back, just control drag and it gets rid of it. Let's refine even further. This will probably, I'm just going to use the move brush. Focal shift. I'll probably move it back a bit. This will move out, or there's a... Clear the mask. That's nice. I mean, it needs refinement, but you get the idea. So now you ask, well, what about these fuckers? It's fine. Let us deal with them. I think I'm not doing it the correct way now. How do you deal with them, Bernard? Clear the mask. I think everything will pop back into existence now, yeah. Well, let's get these out of the way. Whoops, no, these. So the first thing we do is we'd see where they start. They start there, so we go, Let's record. Control, or for you guys, you probably don't have the same hotkeys as me. Move topological. I'll just move them to where you think they were anchored. You know, these. Or better yet, don't have them there in the first place to complicate your life. Whoops. I'm going to control tap this guy, and I'm going to smooth him out a bit. And inflate him a bit. Doing a really bad job now. Smooth. There we go. Control tap this guy. Move him in. Smooth him out. Got that bug. Inflate. Smooth out. Inflate. Smooth out. Whoops. Smooth out. And move. Again, just inflate a bit. I'm not going to do the most perfect job now. I should have done this in symmetry. I should have grouped them together like I showed you earlier. I wouldn't have to do this twice. Why am I stammering? Who knows? I hate it when ZBrush does that. It's got this glitch. Okay, Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that's a good start. Yeah, it's not bad. You get the idea. What are these guys? Just turn our polygroups on. No mask. Control Shift Tap. It's not this guy. What the hell is that? It's probably two teeth from earlier that I didn't properly unmask. No big deal. We just record. Remember, you can't add or remove geometry when you have blend shapes. But I'm just gonna tell these guys to go away. There. I've moved them into the head. There we go. Beautiful. Well, you know, it definitely needs refinement, but I'm not going to do that now. You get the idea. So they should be anchored. No, I am going to do that now. Let's do this properly. My dad told me, son, and I listened when my dad talked. He said, son, if you're going to do something, do it properly. Doesn't matter if it's 3D art or if you're a janitor or a nuclear physicist. Just do it properly. Even if you're going to fuck up properly, like big time. Just do whatever you do properly. So I'm going to try and do this properly. They are anchored there, I think. They still slide a bit. Okay, so it's this back and forth. They're roughly about, whoops. This will make it a lot easier if I just mask them. Inflate, smooth, inflate, smooth. I'm just going to do the one side and not listen to my dad just for this video. There we go. So you get the idea and you can name it. Go back to 0. My keyboard and tablet's in a really awkward position, so I'm not going to name it now, but you can name it there. You can change the order of layers by moving them up and down. Duplicate, delete the layer. Sometimes a layer will also store paint or mask information. If it does, this will light up and you can just click that to split the masking or paint info and delete that if you want. Merge layers, invert is great sometimes. And whoa, what the hell? Okay, so let's say you've got a pose that you like and you just want to carry on. You just bake it, and now you can add geometry, do what you want, you know, go ape shit. I don't know what this is. I've never used it. By the way, in ZBrush, if you hold down Control and hover over anything, most things, it'll give you an info. It'll give you information about what you're hovering over, which is great. Yeah, what is mod? MDD, sorry. Ooh, look, that's a lot of info there. Anyway, I'm getting distracted again. I think that's about it for blend shapes or layers. I think I've covered everything. That's essentially how you deal with it. Record, do something, stop recording. It's fantastic, and most people I know don't use layers in ZBrush, and you really should. Even if you're just, it's bake all of this. Nah, it looks ridiculous. Bake all of this. Let's say you want to, yeah, like I said, you want to try alternate skin details, but you're not sure if you want to screw up your undo history. Not your undo history, but you might not want that later. Let's spray this. Smooth a bit. What I really like doing is putting just this clay brush to spray with the standard alpha and inverting. Creates lovely pox. Look at that, easy. Don't have great, it's a decimated mesh, but you get the idea. So yeah, you can add like details and stuff. And then you can stop recording and Yeah, just think, do I want that? You can later on, you know, check, do I really want those details or not, and so on. Great stuff. Anyway, I hope that's useful to you guys. Thank you for watching. I am going to sign off now, and I will see you next time. Godspeed.